Iproniazid and phenelzine, these are two antidepressant drugs which function in this manner. So let us write those names. Iproniazid and phenelzine. Phenelzine. This is also called as Nardil. So those two drugs are antidepressant drugs which inhibit the action of catalytic action of enzymes which degrade noradrenaline, due to which that noradrenaline is metabolized slowly and it remains active with the receptors for a longer period of time, producing a sense of well-being for the person, and this condition of depression is counteracted by these particular drugs. So this is the therapeutic action of one of the types of neurologically active drugs, that are the tranquilizers. Now let us take a few more examples which are used as tranquilizers. So chlordiazepoxide, this is another mild tranquilizer very often used, and meprobamate, that is another mild tranquilizer. So let us write the name chlordiazepoxide. And meprobamate. These two are mild tranquilizers used to relieve tension. Mild tranquilizers. They relieve tension. Now, a very frequently used tranquilizer is Equanil. Equanil. It has a symmetrical structure like this. NH2. So this is the structure of Equanil, and this tranquilizer is used for treatment of both depression as well as hypertension. So it is used to treat depression and hypertension. So as we have said, tranquilizers are an important class of drugs which their therapeutic action is to interfere with the message transfer mechanism between the nerve and the receptor, as we have seen. So these neurologically active drugs, we have already said, are classified into two types, that is tranquilizers and analgesics, which are painkillers. Now in addition to these tranquilizers, there are also another class of drugs which are called as barbiturates. Now these barbiturates are derivatives of barbituric acid, and these are supposed to be hypnotic drugs. Now when we say hypnotic, that means they are sleep producing drugs. So sometimes the patient requires enough rest for him to recover quickly. In that case, they are administered these hypnotic drugs which are called as barbiturates. So we can name a few barbiturates. Let us discuss about the barbiturates. So what are barbiturates? They are derivatives of the compound barbituric acid, and they are supposed to be hypnotic drugs or sleep inducing drugs. So what are barbiturates? These are hypnotic drugs. What do? They induce sleep, and they are derivatives of barbituric acid. That's why they are called as barbiturates. Barbituric acid. And let us name a few barbiturates. You have veronal, then Amital, Nembutal, Luminal and Seconal. So these are some very commonly used barbiturates which are hypnotic or sleep inducing drugs. So they can also be categorized under tranquilizers. They also interfere with the message transfer mechanism between the nerve and the receptor, right. Now let us discuss the next class of compounds, that is analgesics. Now these analgesics are also neurologically active drugs. They are commonly called as the painkillers. So the second type of neurologically active drugs are analgesics, commonly called as painkillers. So what do? Obviously they remove the pain, or they are able to control or to abolish pain, How do they do that? Now during the control or abolition of pain, they do not cause any effect on the nervous system. That means they do not adversely affect the nervous system, like they do not cause impairment of consciousness, mental confusion. They do not cause mental confusion. So because these drugs are active on the receptors of the nervous system, it is very important that they should not produce any adverse effect on the nervous system. So the analgesics that are designed to control or abolish pain, they do not cause any adverse effect like mental confusion, impairment of consciousness. That means they should not lose consciousness by the use of these drugs. So impairment of consciousness, paralysis, etc. So these are the adverse effects that can be had on the nervous system. So the analgesics that are designed to control pain, they do not cause any of these effects or any other effects on the adverse effects on the nervous system. So what are we talking about? We are talking about the second category of neurologically active drugs. That is, first one was tranquilizers, and this is the second category called analgesics, which are also called as painkillers. They are able to prevent or abolish pain by not causing any adverse effect on the nervous system like mental confusion or impairment of consciousness or paralysis or any other such adverse effect on the nervous system. Now these analgesics are further classified into two types. They are classified into non-narcotic and narcotic analgesics. So let us see what are those non-narcotic and narcotic analgesics. So analgesics are further classified into a non-narcotic or addictive or non-addictive and narcotic or addictive analgesics. So what is the further classification? Based on their action, they are further classified into two categories, that is non-narcotic analgesics or and narcotic analgesics. They are also called as non-addictive or addictive analgesics. Now let us first discuss about non-narcotic analgesics. Now these common examples for non-narcotic analgesics are paracetamol and aspirin. So let us discuss about non-narcotic analgesics. Common examples, as I said, are paracetamol, which we very often use for bringing down the body temperature during fever. So, all the Crocin and Dolo and all those tablets, they contain this particular drug, that is paracetamol, which is an analgesic and also an antipyretic. So, examples of non-narcotic analgesics, the common examples are paracetamol and aspirin. Now, this aspirin plays several functions in the body. So, the action of aspirin in the body is manifold in the body. So, let us discuss about aspirin. Now, what does this aspirin do?
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.
Aspirin, it inhibits the synthesis of what are called as prostaglandins. They are chemicals, inhibits the synthesis of prostaglandins, a class of chemicals produced in the body that is called prostaglandins. Now, what are these prostaglandin chemicals? These are responsible for inflammation of the tissues and pain. So, aspirin is a drug which is designed to inhibit the synthesis of these chemicals, which are collectively called as prostaglandins. This is PR, prostaglandins, right? And what do these prostaglandins do? They are responsible for, we are talking about these chemicals, prostaglandins, responsible for inflammation or burning sensation, inflammation of tissues and pain. So, aspirin has a controlling effect on the synthesis. So, if these chemicals are produced in smaller quantity, then the inflammation and the pain is controlled. So, it acts as a painkiller. Not only as a painkiller, as aspirin has other effects also. It is also able to bring down the body temperature in fever. So, in that case, it acts as an antipyretic. So, what is an antipyretic? It is a drug which is able to bring down the body temperature in fever. So, just like our paracetamol, aspirin also has antipyretic effect. And not only that, it also prevents the coagulation of what are called as, aspirin is also responsible for preventing what is called as platelet coagulation. It also prevents coagulation of platelets in the blood. That is the reason why aspirin is used to prevent heart attacks, because of its anti-blood clotting properties. So, it has anti-blood clotting properties. That is why it is used in the prevention of heart attacks, right? So, this is about the non-narcotic analgesics. We have named two of them, paracetamol and aspirin. Now, this aspirin, it inhibits the synthesis of this class of chemicals which are called as prostaglandins. And what do the prostaglandins do? They are responsible for the inflammation of the tissues and also producing pain. So, aspirin is able to interfere with the action of these prostaglandins, or interfere or prevents the synthesis of these prostaglandins, and thereby it acts against the pain and inflammation produced by these chemicals. And not only that, it is also acting as an antipyretic by lowering the body temperature in fever, and it also has anti-blood clotting properties. That is, it will not allow, it prevents the coagulation of the platelets present in the blood. That is the reason why aspirin is one of the drugs used to prevent heart attack, because of its anti-blood clotting property. Now, let us go on to the narcotic analgesics. So, morphine, you must have heard of morphine. which is a very common narcotic drug. If it is taken in more than medicinal dosage, then it leads to stupor, convulsions, and in extreme cases it can also lead to death. So, let us discuss about the second category of analgesics. Now, the second category of analgesics, as we said, is the narcotic or addictive, also called as addictive analgesics. Best example for the narcotic type of analgesic is morphine. Morphine and its analogues or derivatives. Now, what do these do? These drugs are able to relieve pain and also produce sleep. So, they relieve pain and produce sleep when they are taken in limited doses, that is in medicinal doses as prescribed by the doctor. So, they relieve pain and produce sleep in medicinal doses. But what happens if these are taken in poisonous doses? In that case, it leads to stupor and paralysis, and ultimately it can also lead to death. So, in medicinal doses, they are very good drugs for treatment of pain and producing sleep. But in poisonous doses, in large quantities, in poisonous doses, they can cause coma, cause stupor. What is stupor? The person is awake, but he is not aware of his surroundings. So, that condition of the patient is called as stupor. He is just fixed and he is not aware of his surroundings. So, it can lead to stupor, it can lead to coma, or ultimately it can also lead to death if these narcotic drugs are taken in more than prescribed amount. Those are called as poisonous doses. So, poisonous doses of narcotic drugs lead to stupor, coma, or ultimately death, right. Now, they are also called as opiates. Why these morphine and its derivatives are called opiates? Because they are obtained from the opium poppy, from the poppy seeds. That is why they are called as opiates. So, these drugs are very useful in the treatment of pain in various cases, like in terminal cancers, the patient suffers from acute pain. In such cases, these narcotic drugs are prescribed for the patients. Not only that, during childbirth, to bear the pain, they are given these narcotics, and also in post-operative cases. So, after the operation, the person suffers from acute pain, those are also treated by administering these narcotic drugs. So, the main function of these narcotic drugs is to relieve the patient of pain. That is, what type of pain? Post-operative pain, childbirth pain, terminal cancer pain, pain at childbirth, so these are some of the areas where the person is administered medicinal doses of this particular narcotic type of analgesic. So, we have seen analgesics are painkillers, and they are of two types, that is non-narcotic and narcotic. Under non-narcotic, we saw the action of aspirin, and these are narcotic drugs under we have taken the example of morphine and its analogues. Not only morphine, you have other types of narcotic drugs like codeine, heroin. So, other examples of narcotic drugs are heroin and codeine. We shall draw the structures of these. These are very similar to each other, similar with small differences in their structure. They all perform a similar kind of activity in the body, that of relieving pain and producing sleep. and they are used for the treatment of these different kinds of pains encountered by the patient, that is post-operative or terminal cancer or childbirth, right. Let us draw the structures of morphine, codeine and the other drug heroin. Now morphine, as we said, is a common narcotic analgesic, and the other examples we have given for narcotic analgesics are codeine and heroin. So morphine, codeine and codeine, morphine, codeine and heroin, all three of them are structurally similar to each other, and they have a similar action in the body in producing sleep and relieving pain. Now look at the structure of morphine. Morphine has 4 rings in its structure. 3 are 6-membered rings and 1 is a 5-membered ring containing oxygen, right. And all the rings are lying in a single plane. There are 2 OH groups on either side like this. This OH group lies in the plane of the board, whereas this OH group goes into the board. So it is in another plane which is going into the board. Now this hard line over here, this indicates that this part, there is a CH2 group here and a CH2 here. These are projecting out of the plane of the board. So that is why this convention is used to represent these particular groups. This OH group is going into the plane of the board and this is coming out of the plane of the board. So this is basically the structure of morphine, which is a narcotic analgesic. Now the other 2 narcotic drugs that we mentioned, that is heroin and codeine, they also have a similar structure. Now heroin, in the case of heroin, you have OAC in this place. In place of OH, you have OAC group. AC is the acetyl group, which is C double bond O CH3. So if you insert this group in place of the H's of the OH, you get the structure of heroin. And similarly, codeine, you have OCH3 group. That means instead of OH, in codeine you will write OCH3. So this is how there are slight changes in the structure of these 3 narcotic drugs. So as we have seen, structural similarity of the drugs leads to similar mechanism of action inside the body. So drug action also is similar if they are structurally similar, right? Now let us talk about another important class of drugs which are called as antimicrobials.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.